Before I moved to Jamaica, I couldn't speak English, and I literally learned how to speak English here in Jamaica. Hi, my name is Kari. I live in Jamaica, and a lot of people always ask me, how did I learn English? I was born in Ukraine, raised in Russia, and if you know Russia, we don't really speak English that good because English is just not a part of our culture, and not many, if you go inside of Russia, not many people know how to speak English. Well, today I'm going to share with you my story, how I actually start speaking English in Jamaica, and why I decided to not speak Patwa. Patwa, if you don't know, is the Jamaican dialect what people speak inside of the country in Jamaica. And it's like many people say what Patwah is actually like a broken English. If you know English well and you just get used to Jamaican culture, you can understand. There are different levels of Patwa, but you still can understand people. I understand Patwa. Not all the time, not 100%, but most of the time I understand. Okay, let's start. Um, I was learning English from my school, and it's just regular thing. We learn English at school, right? But the program, how people teach us, how teachers teach us English, I couldn't get it because I don't know, maybe because of my ADHD, but the way they teach it was so bored, and I couldn't understand why I need that. When I was at school, I couldn't imagine what I'm going to move to live in another country and other side of the planet. But we learn it. But everything I knew, and I was taking some extra classes with like a teacher on the side from the school because my parents wanted me to know English, but I did really bad. I can't tell you I was so good because I was really bad at that. And when I actually started going to Jamaica, before I moved to Jamaica, I've been to Jamaica 6 times, and I have videos about on my YouTube channel about all my story how I moved to Jamaica. Well, welcome. After this video, you can go and watch it if you never see it before. And when I went to Jamaica for the first time, even if I was learning English, I couldn't really speak. Everything I could say is hi, my name is Kari, I'm 20 something years old. That's really it. And I knew some different words like home, food, street, and some things like that, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't put words together to say something, and I couldn't understand people. Well, my first 5 or 4 trips to Jamaica, I always go to friends who speak English better. I had my best friend that time. We're not best friend no more, but she live in Moscow, and at that time we were going to Jamaica with her all the time, and she speak English better than me. And I was that friend who is always behind her back and saying like, hey, can you order that Starbucks for me, can you do this, can you translate? And she was that amazing friend who always translated, always helped me, and she even helped me to learn English, but it was so bored for me and so hard. At some point on my life, I started because I like to listen music, and I started translating songs like some Smith songs and other songs, and I was just listening to them, trying to learn them, and same time I was translating them. I can't tell you it helped me, but I think in the end it actually helped me. Here is why. In 2019, I decided what I want to move to Jamaica, but there was two problems. One of them it was I didn't speak English well. I couldn't just go alone anywhere and just speak, like, to talk to people. I just couldn't do that. I could say little simple things, but I couldn't speak. And when I decided to move to Jamaica, my best friend at that time, she said, "You're crazy. I'm not gonna move to Jamaica. I'm going to stay in Moscow." I was like, "Well, I have to move to London." And the first biggest scare, biggest fear, it was what I come to Jamaica and how I'm going to speak with people, because even to rent a place, you have to know certain words, you have to know how to speak with people, but I didn't know how. And in 2020, it was my, I think, fifth time in Jamaica. And I come to Jamaica in January 2020, and I still couldn't really speak, but it was already better. But I still couldn't say, like, I couldn't have normal conversation, I couldn't share my stories. I could say some simple things like hi, hello, and have like simple conversation, but because I didn't know a lot of words, and it was still hard for me. Well, in 2020, when COVID started, and I decided to stay in Jamaica because it was so easy to extend my visa, and I already wanted to move to Jamaica, and I just wanted to try if, like, while this COVID happening, I wanted to stay here because I wanted to try to see if I really like it here. This is when I actually start going out because I stay alone. I rented place by myself when all my friends left, because I've been here with a couple of friends, and all they all them left back to Russia, and I stay here. And it was one of the scariest moments because I actually had to go outside and do the things by myself, translate it and speak to people. And little by little, I start speaking. Jamaica is actually the best place to start speaking English. I don't know how it's working USA or UK. I've never been there, or in Canada. But the thing I know about Russian people, we are so judgmental. When someone trying to speak English, if you're making, for example, content on for Russian audience, and you speak English, they always going to point on you like, oh, you have this weird accent, you didn't say this right, you didn't say that right, you say it wrong, and all those things. I don't know how it's working USA, Canada, or UK, but in Jamaica, it was a perfect place because no one ever judged me, and no one ever tell me, yo, you say this wrong or that wrong. I always was saying people, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't speak English good," and people in Jamaica always cheer me up, and they always say, "No, you are doing great. Just we understand you. Everything is okay. Don't worry." And they give me this straight to just speak more and more and more because they were supporting me so hard. Even if I thought I don't speak really good, which is true, I didn't really speak good that time, but they still supported me a lot, and it was really, really nice. And little by little, I was going out because that time I live in New Kingston, and because I didn't have car, I chose New Kingston on purpose because I wanted to have all places next to me, like the gym, the supermarket, the Starbucks, and everything. And I was just going somewhere like in Starbucks and talk to people everywhere, and I just try. And but I remember in 2021 when I started going out more, like to go to parties, and I tried to speak with people more and more and more. And I remember it was really hard because I wanted to say something more. I wanted to share my story. I wanted to share what I feel or what I'm thinking, and I couldn't because I didn't know all the words, and it was really hard. Well, I was most of the time, I was that girl who is just like smiling and dancing and just saying some easy things. But somehow, little by little, I just started speaking. I can't even tell you what I was sitting and learning the English speaking rules, like how to put words together, because I learned it back in the school, and maybe this is how it's affected me now when I started speaking English, because I kind of remember something, but I'm not sure. Well, I never was sitting and just like, taking English classes. I was just going out and try to speak with people. And I tried to learn some new words, Google something, watch something like some movies and some things. But I, for a long time, I was hating to watching movies in English because I can't understand anything. The most things what I still can really understand is the jokes in English, because when people start saying some jokes, I'm like this person who is like, because I can't get it. And one of my friend who moved to France and she speak French language, she told me like, Kari, don't worry. One day you're gonna get it, because when she move in France, she say what the jokes is the last thing she started to understand. And I was like, whew, that's it, and I'm relaxed. Well, after that experience, I really understood one thing. If you want to learn any foreign language, you just have to put yourself in that situation when all people around you speak in that language and you have no choice. You just have to speak. This is what I did, and this is how I start speaking English. But if you're doing that, you shouldn't have any friends who speak better and who is and you are always trying to go behind their back and be like, can you translate it, can you do this? Like, you have to be alone in that situation. Maybe it sounds weird, but for me it's just, this is how I learn English. And why I never tried to speak Patwa. As you know from my previous videos, if you watch them, for more than 10 years I've been a dancehall dancer. And dancehall brought me to Jamaica. And in dancehall songs is they all speak Patwa. And I learned it because I wanted to translate the dancehall music and I wanted to understand what they're talking about. And when I actually started speaking English in 2020, when I come here first time, not first time, fifth time, on COVID time, I had this I had this time when I had to choose. Do I want to speak? Do I want to try to speak more pure language, pure English, or do I want to try to speak more Patwa? And here's why I choose Patwa. First of all, I started at that time when I just come to Jamaica. I was more around street dancers, Jamaican dancers, and most of the time they all speak Patwa. But in 2021, I started to party more with, in Jamaica, they call them uptown, like people from the upper class. And I realized what people in that class, they don't really speak Patwa. They just use more pure English. And it's not just this. And because I was thinking about, I want to start one day doing my social media in English, but that time I was so scared yet. And but I knew this day will come. And I was just sitting and thinking, if I start speaking Patwa, if I actually, this is my way to speak English, not many people going to understand me outside of Jamaica, because not many people understand Patwa. I'm talking about people outside of Jamaica. And for me, if I'm thinking about growing my social media, I never dream small. I always dream so big. Well, I knew from that moment in 2020 what, when I start doing my social media in English, I actually want to reach as much audience as I can. And it was just easy, like 1, 2, 3, because I was like, okay, which language, which dialect people, not dialect, which language people speak more in this world, English or Patwa? And I was like, of course, English, of course. And that moment I used to think what I'm going to move to USA one day. Somehow I didn't know how, but I thought maybe I'm going to get tourist visa, not tourist visa, this talent visa or something. Right now it's not a plan anymore, because I'm in serious relationship here in Jamaica and I'm not planning to leave my mom. But that time I was thinking about that too, and it was the third reason why I started going more into pure English, because I didn't want to have that situation when I moved to USA, or I'm, let's say I'm going to USA more often, and people can understand me because I speak with Patwah more. Here's the reasons. And actually, I got hate from people who is saying, "Yo, you are in Jamaica, and why you disrespect culture so much? What you don't even want to learn Patwa." But if I talk Patwa, not even if I talk Patwa, because I don't talk Patwa, but if I use some words like people use in Patwa, the other people judge me what I'm using that words. They're saying, "Yo, you're a fake Jamaican accent," and I'm just like, haters going to hate. Here is my story how I learned English. And most of the time when people hear that story, they say, "This is crazy, like you literally start speaking English in Jamaica, and this is crazy." Well, yes guys, I just put it myself in that situation when I just had no choice. And this is my story. Thank you for watching it. See you in my next video, and share your experience if you ever learn any foreign language, and if you still struggle with jokes, or you ever struggle with jokes like me, or with anything else. I'm gonna be happy to read your comments. Thank you for watching, and bye.